Gut, dann Ermittlungen beenden.
Are you done?
The dog has something in her mouth.
Hey, Sugar!
Was haben wir denn da?
What's this?
Hä, was ist das?
That's Sugar's favorite toy. It's just a rubber hose tied up in a knot.
Ein verknoteter Gummischlauch?
Ever since she was a puppy, Sugar has loved playing tug-of-war with a rubber hose. So I still make toys out of hoses like this. But I don't think I made one for her recently. Where did she get it from?
Wow, that's interesting. Let me take a look.
Wait, don't touch it.
What's wrong?
Put that in a plastic bag without touching it directly. I believe it's evidence.
That's evidence?
Das Ding da?
Consider it a precaution.
Das Spielzeug.
How's the investigation going? Are the peacekeepers right? Did my father pass away due to an accident? Or was it...
The answer is clear. This was no accident, but a murder.
Huh? Really?
What makes you think it's a murder?
My thinking.
Oh, es muss ein Mordfall sein wegen dem Boden, dem Fenster, den Aquarien, den Wänden. Um ehrlich zu sein, ich habe keinen Plan, was hier vor sich geht. Sonst war ich eigentlich immer ganz gut mit dabei, aber dieses Mal habe ich echt keinen Plan, wo die ganzen Spuren an den Wänden und so herkamen. Machen wir das. Was ist damit? Nass, offen, kaputt, trocken? Kaputt?
No, it's not enough to disprove the theory that it was an accident. Reviewing it more carefully.
Okay. Wenn es nicht die Wände waren. Die Aquarien? Ich meine... Weil sie kaputt sind, oder was?
The victim died with his head in the fish tank. Is that right?
Ja, ich dachte, das wäre jetzt viel zu offensichtlich.
That is certain.
As you can see, this fish tank was destroyed like all the others. That is far too strange. It means something logically impossible occurred.
Impossible? What do you mean?
I shouldn't have to explain it. If the victim drowned with his head in the tank, then it had to be filled with water.
Das stimmt natürlich.
But as you can see, the fish tank is destroyed, meaning it is unable to contain water.
Ja, jetzt wo ich so darüber nachdenke, stimmt. Das wäre ja ziemlich unwahrscheinlich, dass er sich da selbst ertränkt hat, ne? Und dann das Ding noch kaputt gemacht hat. Das wird ja nicht gehen.
Like with the other tanks, the water spilled out when it was smashed, emptying it. So how could the victim drown in a fish tank that held no water?
Oh, now that you mention it.
The peacekeepers claim the victim was disoriented and smashed the fish tanks himself. But if the victim was still alive when he smashed the fish tanks, it would have been impossible for him to have drowned. In other words, the victim was drowned, then placed next to the fish tank to make it seem like an accident. The culprit must have believed this camouflage would be enough to fool the peacekeepers.
So my father was murdered.
Yes, there is no mistake about it. This is murder.
Hold on. If the culprit wanted to make the victim look like he drowned, why did they destroy the fish tank?
Gute Frage, du.
Didn't they realize their cover would be blown? And plus, all the fish tanks were destroyed, not just that one.
It must have been part of their plan for the peacekeepers to overlook this contradiction. However, destroying the tanks required a lot of effort. If the culprit did so despite the contradiction it created, then we have to assume there was an unavoidable reason behind it.
An unavoidable reason.
So, who is Who's the culprit?
Wer ist der Schuldige?
I must investigate further to find that out. I'll report back once I find the answer.
Yes, please.
Has anyone outside your family entered or left the house recently?
I don't think so.
Were there any tradesmen who came to work on your place?
I can't think of any.
Allow me to change the question. Have you recently done any remodeling or repairs to the home?
Oh, now that you mention it. The rain gutters on the roof were broken, so Jaren fixed them.
Oh.
He fixed the rain gutters?
Uh-oh.
Yes, he's an avid DIYer. He not only fixed the broken parts, but also checked the gutters around the whole building, which was a lot of work.
Die Regenrinnenreparatur.
I see. That concludes my investigation.
Das ging schnell.
What? Are you sure that's enough? Jeez, you're always off in your own world. I'm sorry about that. Our ace detective isn't very friendly. That being said, I believe this case will be solved soon. Please be patient for just a bit longer.
Thank you.
Fertig. Eine weitere Ermittlung wäre geschafft.
Alara, just as you suspected, it could be the fiancé. Jaren has been living in the client's home and mooching off her since he got fired from his job a year back. He's in quite a lot of debt, too. At one point, he was spending almost all his time in casinos.
Wollte er vielleicht einfach das Geld haben? Von dem Erbe oder
He
so?
kept asking the client's father for money, but was always denied. Seems the father was also against their marriage.
Ah.
So money is the motive. If the father were to die, the daughter would inherit everything. So if he married her, the money would be his.
Makes sense. The thing is, that man has an alibi.
Er hat ein Alibi.
The victim's estimated time of death is 10 at night. There's no mistake that Jaren was with the client at that time. It makes no sense to suspect Tetra, since she's our client, so we have to assume his alibi is airtight.
Right. I agree.
His alibi is perfect. Not only was he with Tetra at 10, but he was also with her for 2 hours before and after. So, as it stands, it's impossible for him to have killed the victim.
No, the alibi isn't a problem. It's possible if a certain trick was used.
A trick?
But I still lack hard evidence. Perhaps it's worth rolling the dice here.
Hey, are you sure about this?
Was soll das überhaupt heißen?
We'll make our move tonight. Let's go to the client.
Dann machen wir mal das. Es regnet, wie immer, wie überraschend. Da wären wir jetzt wieder hier.
Is it true that you know the truth behind this case?
That's right, miss. Allow me to explain. The key detail for this case is the victim's cause of death. Without a doubt, the victim died by drowning. But making it look like he drowned in the fish tank was camouflage. Why would such a thing even be needed? Because it secured the killer's alibi.
You said that the victim's time of death was around 10 p.m. In other words, the culprit secured their alibi at the same time as they murdered the victim. Is that really possible?
Through a certain trick, it was possible to drown the victim even if the culprit wasn't there.
Jetzt bin ich gespannt, du.
Drown him without being there?
The trick the culprit used was...
Jetzt muss aber nicht ich hier was... Okay. Verdammt. Der Lüftungsschacht, das Aquarium, der Schlauch, die Leiche. Also der Schlauch muss ja auch eine Bedeutung haben, ne? Der Schlauch. Der Lüftung, also versuchen wir das. Der Schlauch. Keine Ahnung.
A method that can't disprove the alibi. Think carefully.
Okay, also der Schlauch ist es schon mal nicht. Ja, dann muss es ja wohl der Lüftungsschacht sein. Ja, warum ist es hier immer ein Haken dran? Das heißt ja, dass ich das schon genutzt habe und das falsch ist? Fast so, als ob ich alles machen müsste. Oder? Versteht ihr, was ich meine?
A method that can't disprove the alibi. Think carefully.
Hä, ihr wollt mich hier verarschen, Mann. Der muss ja alles auswählen, oder nicht?
A method that can't disprove.
Oder? Die Leiche erschütterte den Raum.
A method that can't disprove the alibi.
Ah, nee. Doch nicht. Ich dachte, jetzt würde was passieren, wenn ich alles ausgewählt habe. Aber nee. Und deswegen habe ich das jetzt so gemacht, aber nee. Also ich habe mir jetzt gedacht, irgendwie durch den Lüftungsschacht könnte man theoretisch das gesamte Zimmer irgendwie fluten. Und mit dem Tape hätte man die Tür so ein bisschen zukleben können, damit da kein Wasser durchkommt unten und so. Also ich glaube, dass das genutzt wurde, um den Raum irgendwie zu überfluten. Haben wir das nicht schon ausgewählt? Also das war jetzt so meine Theorie. Durch den Lüftungsschacht irgendwie, aber... Oder mit dem Schlauch?
First, it involves this rubber hose.
Okay.
That's Sugar's toy.
If you untie the knot, it returns to being a hose. This was what was first used in the crime.
Ja.
How was it used? Don't tell me that's the murder weapon.
If you check the vent, you'll see the color of paint scraped on there matches the hose. It was likely passed through the vent.
Someone put the hose in the vent. Why would anyone do that?
Ja, das habe ich ja gerade gesagt.
It's nothing special. The hose was simply used for its original purpose.
Its original purpose?
One end of the hose was placed on the edge of the rain gutter on the veranda side. Prior to this, the culprit adjusted the rain gutter so that the hose could be inserted into it. The rainwater from the gutter passed through the hose, filling the room.
Ich hatte recht, tatsächlich.
Huh? What do you mean? Hilari, you think this place got flooded with rainwater?
Da habe ich einfach nur die falsche Auswahl getroffen. Aber meine Auswahl hat doch auch Sinn ergeben, oder nicht?
That would drench the whole place.
When the body was found, the room was, in fact, drenched.
But that was because of the broken fish tanks, right?
That's part of it. But the main reason was due to rainwater pouring into the enclosed room.
Wait, what do you mean? What's the point in flooding this room with rainwater?
The culprit's goal was to secure their own alibi at the estimated time of death. This trick was necessary for that.
I don't get it. Can you explain from the beginning?
Let's go over what the culprit did on the day of the crime, in order. First, the culprit mixed sleeping pills into the victim's dinner. While the victim was asleep, the culprit proceeded to prepare the trick.
Ich finde das geil, wie der Typ einfach jetzt auch da steht, sich das alles so anhört. Obwohl er eigentlich derjenige ist, der verdächtigt wird.
Sleeping pills in his food?
Wie er das so denken steht. Ah ja, das hätte sein können, ja.
That reminds me. My father did seem sleepy shortly after eating dinner.
After dinner, the victim likely went to his room to lay down. The culprit then sneaked into his room and carried him out while he was asleep. That was how the victim was transported to this room.
At this point, you're sure he was still alive?
Of course. If the culprit murdered the victim earlier, then their alibi wouldn't have worked. The culprit had to murder him in such a way that would secure their alibi. The preparations were done in this room. After bringing the victim here, the culprit used duct tape on the gap near the door to weather strip it.
Seht ihr, das habe ich ja gesagt, damit da kein Wasser durchkommt.
Weather strip? What's that?
It prevents water from leaking outside.
What do you mean?
Let me explain. After weather stripping the door, the culprit started destroying the fish tanks. The culprit likely covered them with cloth to dampen the noise. Once he smashed all of them, he leaned the victim onto the fish tank. The culprit then moved to the window on the veranda and weather stripped the outside of it. Finally, they took the hose connected to the rain gutter and passed it through the vent to the inside of the room. Preparations in place, the culprit left through the veranda and returned to the mansion as if nothing had happened.
How does that complete everything? The victim was still alive at the time, right? When was he murdered?
Ja, sobald er nicht mehr atmen konnte.
Naturally drowned after being left alone for several hours.
Ja, genau.
Huh? How's that?
Ja, durch das Wasser.
The rainwater from the rubber hose flooded the room in a few hours. The whole room was turned into a fish tank, this time filled with rainwater. And that is how the victim drowned.
The whole room was flooded?
Das haben wir schon 3-mal gesagt, du.
That can't be.
The proof lies in the stained walls. The day of the murder, the room must have been filled to that line with rainwater.
Rainwater killed the victim?
Correct. Only in this city could such an approach be possible. The rain never stops in Kanai War. This makes it easy to estimate the amount of rainfall to a certain degree. So it is not impossible to create this alibi trick with some calculation.
I think that's a bit of a stretch. Wouldn't it take at least half a day for the room to fill with enough rainwater to drown the victim?
Ich weiß echt nicht, wie lange das dauern würde.
I'm sure it would require more rainwater than usual to accomplish it. Which means you'd need to gather all the rain falling around this giant mansion.
Gather all of it how?
It would require slight adjustments to the rain gutters. After that, the rainwater would flow to the veranda.
Adjustments to the rain gutters?
There would be plenty of water if all of the rain that pours upon the mansion is rerouted to this room. That explains how the culprit secured their alibi while drowning the victim. In the morning, before the body was found, they removed the weather stripping and drained the water through the veranda.
Also eigentlich, ne, für ein DLC ist das schon ein geiles Extra-Kapitel, ein geiler Extra-Mord, ne? Wenn man das jetzt noch ein bisschen mehr ausgearbeitet hätte, hätte das auch ein richtiger Fall sein können.
If you check the drain in the veranda, you should find dead tropical fish that were carried out with the rainwater.
Das hätte ich gefeiert irgendwie.
The culprit smashed the tanks beforehand to prevent rainwater from being stored inside. Well, that's how I would have done it. But maybe the culprit didn't realize that before they started draining the water.
Was soll das heißen, so hätte ich das gemacht, hä?
Seeing the fish tanks filled with rainwater, the culprit panicked and smashed all of the glass to hide the evidence. They must have carelessly broken the one fish tank the corpse was leaning on in the process.
Das ist natürlich dumm.
Isn't that how it went, Jaren? I'll be direct. You are the culprit.
Deswegen fand ich das so komisch, wie er die ganze Zeit da so stand.
Hold on. Is this some kind of joke? Why would I kill my father-in-law? That's stupid.
But you were fixing the rain gutters a few days before the incident.
That's because you asked me to fix them! How does fixing some stuff pin me as the culprit? That's crazy talk!
So you intend on maintaining that you're not the culprit?
Of course!
Then we'll have to ask our little friend for the answer.
Der Hund.
Come here, Sugar. This is the rubber hose used for the trick. There are scrapes on its surface. That's the proof. I'm sure the culprit tried to dispose of it, tying it into a knot before throwing it away. But our friend here found it for us. Good girl, Sugar. Only the culprit has directly touched the rubber hose. I'm certain his scent is still on it. Tell us, Sugar, who do you smell on this?
Ja, blöd gelaufen, du.
So, it is you.
This is complete nonsense. I won't accept it. If I have to,
Was hast du da jetzt vor?
I'll kill all of you.
Oh oh.
Hey, don't tell me that you're really... I was so close.
Oh, was zum...
Getting all that money.
Oh,
Calm down. Hey, why me? I can kill the woman anytime. I'll start off with you.
Halara würde ich nicht unterschätzen, du.
Damn you, detectives. This is your fault for sticking your nose into my life.
Can you handle this on your own, Chief?
I'm pretty bad at this sort of thing. Please help. Shut up! I'll kill...
Oh. Was zum... Ja, wie immer. Das lief ja relativ...
You saved me.
I never thought it would be like this. What am I supposed to do?
Ja, sie hatte doch den Hund.
You're not alone.
Huh?
That's what she's saying.
If you ever need help, come to us. The Nocturnal Detective Agency will always be at your service.
Thank you.
Das war tatsächlich ein durchaus interessanter Fall, finde ich. Hat mir jetzt mehr gefallen als die 2 anderen DLCs. Zumindest von dem, was wir bisher so gesehen haben. Aber ich denke jetzt, das wird so ziemlich das Ende sein. Nach einem kleinen letzten Gespräch hier. Und das ist die Katze.
As promised, you can keep that cat here.
I don't need your help. That's what the cat is saying.
Come on, this cat thinks it's some sort of hard-boiled detective? Well, I suppose I don't mind.
This city is a difficult place to live, even for the animals.
Right. I hope we can keep solving the mysteries here to make this city a better place. And make it a nicer place for them to live too.
I sincerely hope so.
You're so cold to humans that you like animals.
Are you teasing me?
See, there you go again, making that scary face.
Du kannst doch gar nicht sehen.
Seeing you play with the cat, you look kind of cute. It sure would be nice to see more of that smile around here. I hope you keep using your powers to change this city. I know you can do it. For their sake, too.
That depends on the payment.
Come on. Well, how's this? Consider it the reward for this case. And maybe you could ask for permission next time.
Thanks.
Und damit wäre wohl auch der dritte DLC abgeschlossen, oder? Das wirkt zumindest sehr so wie das Ende dieses DLCs. Und ja, somit hätten wir jetzt nur noch einen letzten vierten DLC abzuschließen, der dann Ende nächsten Monats erscheinen wird.